situation there. So हमारा जो humans का जो physical setup है and the way we are designed as humans, when a baby is born, the birth canal is very narrow. And so when a human baby is born, the brain comes out very underdeveloped because the birth canal is so narrow, you cannot have a big brain, cannot deliver the baby. So the human brain goes through very rapid growth in the first 5 years of life. So first 5 or 6 years of life, the size of the human brain is growing a lot. And it's expanding a lot because it could not do that when the woman is pregnant. It happens after birth. So, and that's why in the case of humans, the infancy and amount of care a baby needs early in life is very high. You know, both parents are required, a lot of care is needed because the baby has arrived very undeveloped. So human brain goes through a lot of growth in the first 5 years. Then from the age of 11 to 20, in this age, what happens is that the brain starts specializing. So the synapse connections actually start getting cut. So what that means is that the human brain is perfectly set up only in this window of time. So if you look at the entire human lifespan of 80 years or 90 years, it's only in this 10-year period that the brain is completely open to specialize in whatever you want. So for example, if Bill Gates starts programming at the age of 11, for example, what will happen is that by the time he's 20 years old, he will become such a good programmer that if someone else starts programming at the age of 20, it will take more than 30 years for them to even get the same level of skill. So what someone can do in 10 years over here, later in life will take even 30, 40 years to have the same amount of expertise. Because whatever you are exposed to, what will happen is the brain will put more of the real estate into that area. Now what happens in the education system around the world is from the age of 11 to 20, we are, or at least from 11 to 18, we are not allowed to specialize. We are told to study all subjects, right? You know, basically, now what happens in India is after 16, they start separating commerce, art, science. After 16, they start separating them. But for the most part, you're required to study all subjects. So if you look at a person like Michelangelo, so Michelangelo was a great sculptor and painter and so on. He started sculpting statues when he was 9 or 10 years old. He didn't go to school. He was working full-time doing statue sculpting from the age of 10. So what happened with Michelangelo is that by the time he became 20 years old, he became a really good sculptor and painter. Nobody else can match that because that's all he has done. He has not gone to school for that period of time. And so basically, and if I go back to the Jamaican sprinters, what they are doing is they have told those kids कि पढ़ने की ज़्यादा ज़रूरत नहीं है, sprinting पे focus रखो. Just do bare minimum for other things, but focus on sprinting. So what happens is in this 11 to 20 age band, for most of the world, people are not allowed to specialize. And so that window of time when you can actually become really good at something, that window closes. And then people start trying to specialize later. Later, the thing is over. Now, if I come to JE Prep, so what happens in JE Prep? JE Prep is going on from, let's say, 16 to 19, right? You may sometimes drop 1 year, but it starts at 16, right? Now, what has also happened in India, in some cases, it's starting at 14, right? Ashfaq, you are starting in 9th standard? Yes. Are you starting before 9th standard? Yes, from? Class 6. So class 6 mein umar 11 hai, right? So the best time to start JE coaching is class 6. If you want a commercial for your coaching institute of why you should start in class 6, just take the film from him, okay? So what should happen to have perfect coaching for JE is you start in class 6. You start focusing on physics, chemistry, math in class 6. And by the time you finish, what will happen is that nowhere else in the world, so India, what has happened is this happened by accident. What happened in India by accident is the IIT system came to India. Because there was no trust in having a complicated admission system, they came up with a very simple admission system that just had to be JE. And because there is such a large population trying to get these seats, there is huge effort put to try to get a seat in IIT. And so all of you, you know, we did a test, we found the best of you, we brought you here, we are coaching you, but actually we are starting 5 years too late. We missed the 11 to 15 window, right? And if Dakshina wants to do it even better, we would start even earlier. But one of the things that happened in the JNV system, also by accident, is what happens is in the JNV system, there's a JNV selection test. That happens at the age of 11. 10, 11 is when you're taking the JNV selection test. So what happens is when you get selected in JNV, there are like 40 lakh students. I think how many students are taking the test? JNV ST, how many kids take the test every year? Ravi? He's MIA. So I think it's like 30 lakh students are taking JNV ST. Okay, and these 30 lakh students are trying to get one of 40,000 seats in the 600 JNVs. The total number of seats is 40,000. So from 30 lakhs to 40,000 is like 1.3%. Okay, so just like a very small number of kids who take that test get into JNV. So one of the things that happens in JNV, which is really good, is at the age of 11, you are with other kids who are interested in almost the same thing. Unfortunately, the coaching starts at 16, but 16 is still good. It's better than the rest of the world. The rest of the world is not, when a kid goes to MIT, before he goes to MIT, he has not done any JE coaching. He has not spent more time on physics or more time on math or any of that. He has not done any of those things. His focus on physics, chemistry, math starts at 18 in the US. We are starting 2 to 3 years earlier. In some cases, we are starting at 11. So if you go to Bill Gates and you ask Bill Gates, what is the #1 university in the world that you want to recruit people for Microsoft? He says IIT. So the US has Stanford, MIT, RPI, they're really, really good schools. These are top-end schools. But he has found that Microsoft engineers who come from IIT system in India are better than the engineers that are coming from MIT in the US. And the reason they're better is because they started working earlier. And so to go back to your question about why we are not doing well in sports, the answer is really simple. You have to start early, and you have to have a focus system. The problem that happened is that a person like Monish decided he doesn't care about sprinters. He cares about engineers. If I had cared about sprinters as much as I cared about engineers, we would go head-to-head. There'd be some Bahadur Singh going head-to-head with Usain Bolt at the Olympics. But wo hua nahi. So what I've decided is I have left it to you. You now know how to create sprinters, right?